Hey guys, my name is Mike and welcome to your weekly WoW. This week we look at some new options that are added to the game to make life a lot easier for certain players. We start our march upon Iceground and we also go ghost hunting. I hope you enjoy. But before all that, we'll get into the news. Not as much news as usual this week, a bit more than last week, but with the patch coming out soon, which I'll go into, it seems like we're kind of winding down, so the next few weeks might be a bit dry as well, but what little we have I'll report on and I hope you guys enjoy. One bit of news which I think is really quite important is that colourblind mode has finally been added to the game. The way to access it is going to your options menu, then going to interface. At the bottom you'll see accessibility, then you can enable your UI colourblind mode, and they actually have quite a few different settings. There's 3 different settings there and I'm going to cycle through them and show you each of them. But one of the things that's actually quite cool is the fact you can also adjust how intense each setting is. So you see the adjust strength there, and it does seem to make quite a bit of difference. I'm just going to cycle through each of them so anybody who does happen to be colorblind can see this video and then see what effect it does and whether or not that might be able to help them. Personally, I'm kind of surprised it wasn't in the game already. It's one of those things that I think I just assumed that WoW must have colorblind mode because it just seems like one of those things that all modern games should have, but I guess is kind of WoW showing its age a bit, but at least they finally caught up and it's in the game now because it is very, very important. I think it's important that everybody gets to enjoy the game to the same standard. Also, another cool thing that's been changed is how costumes interact. Now, as you might have noticed from bits and bobs, I actually really enjoy costumes. As you can see here, I pop the ogre costume and I mount up, which is different because usually I can't mount using the ogre costume. You'll see that my costume has disappeared, and I can fly around as per usual in my normal Begat form. When I leave the mount, however, you'll notice I still have the buff, and actually, that should have happened instantaneously. There we go. Yeah, switching back should have happened instantaneously, however, it's the PTR, so lag is a thing. So yeah, it's really good that you can actually mount and run around like this, and as you can see, I'm still not silenced. I can act exactly as I would normally mount back up, and there we go. It's really, really cool to be able to do that, actually, and it's even cooler when it comes to the crystal. As you can see here, I bumped into some guy who was happy to have me switch with him. He's still in his normal form because he's on the mount, and when he jumps off, he goes to ogre form, like I showed you, so it should be instantaneous. And as you can see, I can actually mount up in crystal form now, because the way that the mounting has worked is that you will switch to your normal form if you mount up as something that doesn't have mounting animations already, just because they didn't want to reanimate everything, which I think is really cool. And one other awesome thing they've done is costumes now stack. So as you can see there, I had both buffs. If I remove the crystal buff, I switch back to the ogre. In the past, what would have happened is that it would have just overwritten my old buff. This means that with the crystal, you can actually just keep sending buffs to each other. I can actually make an entire raid of nothing but ogres, and that is really, really cool. So I really like those changes. And last but not least, we finally have a release date for the next patch. Patch 6.1 will be released on the 24th of February. So yeah, get ready for that. Just borrow the materials that you think you're going to need, hoard your garrison resources, and also it might be worth hoarding any of the ancestral coins that you get, because in the next patch you will be able to trade those to upgrade your heirlooms. So if that's something you're interested, maybe hang on to them. And now it's time for flying solo. This week we're going to start our Glory of the Icecrown Raider 25-man achievement. I decided to do 25-man this time since 10-man and Order just seemed way too easy. And I don't know, the Drake looks kind of cooler in 25-man mode, so I thought we'd go for it. One thing I did want to go into is that the meta achievements, whilst accomplishable on normal mode, you do need to run through it in heroic mode at least once to get 4 of the meta achievements. So we're going to be doing the achievements in general in 25-man normal mode, and then I will have a separate video in which we go over any bosses that need special kind of actions or anything short of tank and spank to do in heroic mode. Just so you guys know, these videos will be in normal mode, episode 1 and 2 of this, and then episode 3 will be us going through all the bosses again, and, well, specifically any bosses that need any more complex actions rather than just a straight up tank and spank with more HP for heroic mode. That having been said, this week we're going to go from the beginning to the Blood Wing. We're going to be finishing that off, and then next week we'll do the other 2 wings and the Lich King himself. So with no further ado, I hope you guys enjoy. Okay, so our first meta achievement for this raid is Boned, and it comes from Lord Marogar. The idea of this achievement is that you have to make sure no player gets stuck in Bone Spike Graveyard for, I don't know the amount of time, but it's not actually that important. Basically in solo, he won't Bone Spike Graveyard you if you are the sole aggro holder. If you do get Bone Spiked and you're on your own, you're kind of screwed because it will just stun you until somebody breaks the spike, and if you're on your own, nobody's there to break the spike for you. The only way I can really see you getting Bone Spiked, at least in non-heroic mode, is if you are a pet class and your pet has aggro. So if you're a hunter or a warlock or anything like that, make sure that you are tanking everything and he won't Bone Spike you. Once you've done that, it's really just a simple matter of DPS him down and you'll be fine. In heroic mode, I've noticed he does seem to Bone Spike you sometimes, though rarely. I don't know if that's a bug or whatever, but when I go over this in heroic mode for the other achievements, I will let you know. But do the initial achievement in non-heroic mode, I would recommend. Okay, so the next achievement we need is Full House. You might have noticed I've sped this fight by 200%, and I'm doing it in the PTR. That's because I screwed it up the first time, and it takes a very long time, so I did want to speed it up, because otherwise we'd be here forever. The idea behind this achievement is that you need to make sure you have 5 different types of cultists up, and as you can see I'm marking them there. At the moment I've got 2 up. She occasionally kills one of the triangles, and it'll bring it back as a skeleton, as I see there. Mark it as a diamond. This takes quite a while, to be honest. I don't know whether or not I just got unlucky or what, but it can take quite a while to actually get all the cultists up. Actually, now that I think about it, is that skeleton counted as a different cultist, the one that's swinging at me? If so, it's entirely possible I had 5 up there and I hadn't realized. But, actually, that might be the case. If so, I probably wasted a lot of this time. But if not, I had to wait quite a while before she spawned a different type of cultist, which I don't know why, but it just took quite a few waves. And you can see I actually take a fair amount of damage here. Some of it is due to the fact I was attacking the spellcasters there, and you can notice they reflect all spells back, so I was hitting myself in the face with Shadow, which is not a great idea, to be perfectly honest. What you have to make sure you do is don't break her mana bubble until you have all 5 cultists up. If you do that, she just stops spawning cultists and you're screwed, which is what I did the first time. So stay in phase 1 and just tough it out for a while. If you can heal yourself, that'd probably be great. I'm relying on my powered shield in this, but if you're tanky or you can heal yourself, or anything you can do to keep yourself up is probably good. Like I said, it's entirely possible that I could actually kill her now and get the achievement. I didn't think about those. I didn't actually see those skeletons. It gets really quite hectic, as you might have seen. And one other thing that's really important is that the cultists that are in the room at the beginning don't count towards the achievement. So you do have to kill them. Well, you don't have to, but it's a good idea to kill those, because otherwise it's just going to get way, way too hectic. As you can see there, I finally got 4 of them up. Eventually we'll get to 5, and once we do, it's just a simple burn her down. Okay, now we seem to have 5 cultists up, and what you have to do is keep attacking her. You'll notice her mana is draining. She's using a mana shield at the moment. Once you've drained all her mana and popped the shield, you go to phase 2, and if you're a spellcaster, it can get quite annoying. She tends to silence you. Well, she doesn't silence you, she increases your cooldowns on your casts, so even if they don't usually have a cooldown, they'll have a long cooldown. As you can see there, my Mind Spike's got a huge cooldown on it, so it's not that challenging, but it's more than anything more annoying. And you'll get your achievement. That one's a bit more complicated than the others, but overall, I think it's doable, as you can see there. Especially at level 100. If you're lower level, that could be quite difficult though, so do be prepared. Right, and now it's time to do the loot ship. The achievement for this basically involves you not jumping over to the enemy ship, I think it's 4 times, so nobody can jump over to the enemy ship more than 4 times. When you're doing the solo, it means that you just have to do it without jumping over 4 times. I remember doing this on my level 90 hunter back in Mists, and it was really difficult back then. You had to do 10 or 25 people's work with the same mechanics and damage, because the cannons did do more damage. And it was really quite difficult. Now, the way to get maximum damage to begin without the cannons is to fire a bunch of shots until you get to nearly full heat. Don't go too far, because if you overheat, then you lose all your heat and you're screwed. Fire off the heated blast, and then just keep unloading level 1 shots into them. And they'll take a huge amount of damage there, which is really good. Shoot the guys once they're there. Stop them freezing you up. Once you've done that, they'll freeze you and throw you off the cannons. They'll put some guys over, get into a bit of a fight, and... Huh. Wait, hang on. Can't attack him. Oh. Okay. Bye-bye, Alliance. Yeah, they've changed this fight since then. Basically, the cannons now do scale with your item level, which means you do an insane amount of damage and can kill them before the fight even starts. It's a little bit silly, but yeah, people used to call this loot ship. It is now officially loot ship. This is way, way too easy. But soloable, so that's good. Next fight is Deathbringer Saurfang. The achievement behind him is, oh, I've gone and made a mess. The idea of this is that you can't have him cast Mark of the Fallen Champion more than 3 times. However, when you're soloing him, he'll only ever cast it once on you. So this really is a matter of just beating him. At level 90 this was a pain, but nowadays it's one of those very easy fights, to be perfectly honest with you. He can heal himself up, but you can DPS him down much faster than he can heal himself, so it's really not that big a deal. I know these fights are a little bit boring, but not much I can say about this. He might be a bit more difficult in heroic mode. I don't see it being that much more difficult, but if it is, I will go over it in that video. But it really is just a nice, easy tank and spank. And there you go. Right, now we're going to move on to the Blood Council. I decided to do the Vampire Wing first because the second boss of the Vampire Wing is really, really quite difficult, and there's a reason that I wanted to do her in the first video. Right, now with these guys, to damage them you have to attack the right target. If you notice, they'll swap health bars around. You can only ever damage the guy who's got the health bar. Other than that, it's a really simple fight. The achievement for this is not taking more than a certain amount of spell damage. I believe it's something around 10,000 in a single hit. As you can see by my damage numbers, I'm not taking more than about 700 damage per hit. So this is, again, one of those quite boring, easy fights. All you have to do is make sure you're hitting the right target. Once you've killed one, they'll all fall over. And there you go. So now I'm going to go over Blood Queen's achievement, Once Bitten, Twice Shy. Now this achievement is really difficult for 2 reasons. I'm going to go over the hard part this week. And the reason for that is that you actually have to kill her twice, which means this takes 2 raid lockout periods. Once as a vampire, which I am now, I get a huge amount of damage increase, and I also generate no threat. And then you have to do it once without being a vampire. This is really difficult, and I don't think it can be done by all classes. I can do it as a priest with the use of some really weird mechanics, but other classes might struggle. Things like hunters, and I think warlocks can also do it. Death Knights, I'm pretty certain, can do it as well. You need a pet. So what I do is I have deadly boss mods because it's nearly vital for this. You need to get timings just right. When she's about to do her bite, summon a Shadow Fiend, and when she bites, pop your spectral guys. That will summon a little clone, and she will bite the Shadow Fiend as opposed to you. Once she's bitten it, it's just a straight DPS race. But trying to get her to bite something that isn't you is the really difficult part of this achievement. If you manage to kill her without being bitten, which you will do, once you've dodged the bite, that's it, you're good. Just kill her within the enrage, which should be really quite easy at level 100, and you're golden. But genuinely, this is probably one of the hardest achievements in this area to solo. You can't do it if you're not the right class, and that is a big shame. Any class that can get a pet or something to tank her, to take her attention off you, and then use some kind of mechanic like Feign Death. I think Fade works if you don't want to take the talent as a priest. Soul Shatter on a warlock might work. Death Knights I know can do it by controlling undead with some of the mobs around here. This is a really difficult achievement to do on your own. I recommend bringing a friend if you don't think your class can do it. I'm really sorry about this, but this is one of those achievements that is just really difficult to do, and there's no way of doing it in 1 lockout. You have to do this in 2 lockouts, which is why I wanted to do it in the first video, because then you guys get the chance to plan out and maybe do the heroic version of First Wing a second week. So that way you don't have to waste time. But once you've done all that, you'll get your part of the achievement. I have the other part already, so I get the whole achievement. And that's probably the most difficult achievement we're going to have in this guide. So, sorry if you are not a class that's capable of doing it, but there's not much I can really do for you. Except for recommend that you do bring a friend. Next up is Bits and Bobs. Quite an interesting one this week, but it is also quite short, so I do apologise for that. But I decided it's probably better to go for something short but interesting rather than something long form and kind of boring. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this. Right, so this week I wanted to show you something really weird in Duskwood. Specifically, I want to show you something in this house in Raven Hill. So as you can see, I'm running upstairs on my alliance, because I needed a fairly low level alliance to try this, and I cast Holy Nova. And I'm dead. Huh. Something killed me. And it doesn't say what. It just says I'm dead. That's weird. Right, now I want to show you what happened to me. So I'm here on my main, and if I take a Draining Invisibility Potion, I can see these guys. These are the Unseen. They range from level 45-ish to about level 50. And bear in mind, this is about level 20 to 30 at max zone. So yeah, these guys are way over leveled. And you can only ever see them when you're invisible, which they've actually been reducing the amount of things. You used to be able to see them, I believe, with the Engineer Trinket to go invisible, but nowadays you can't actually do that. And even if I cast an AoE at high level, it's instantly killed them, obviously, but it hasn't actually shown any combat log for it, which is very strange. And just want to show you through. They're in the other house in this area as well. They're not outside, but they seem to be everywhere in this area, and it's really, really weird. And I don't know, it seems like we're getting less and less ways to detect invisibility. Warlocks used to be able to cast a spell for it, but they can't anymore. These things can't be seen with flares from hunters. I believe mage invisibility can't see them nowadays either. So this is one of those lost little treasures, which I think is really cool. And I just want to show you here that they are killable. However, once I kill it, I lose the invisibility buff. And yeah, these things are also very similar things are in Lordaeron as well. You see here on my level 1 Blood Elf, I cast Arcane Torrent and I just die. Probably confusing that rogue a little bit. But I come back here on Begath, and once I quaff the invisibility potion, you'll be able to see what is going on here. Loads of little ghosts all around Lordaeron. And if I mouse over them, you can see that these are the Lordaeron citizens. They are level 15, which, you know, not nearly as dangerous as level 50 guys, but still could be fun to troll some guys. And considering that if you don't kill them straight up with an AoE, you're not going to be able to really hit them. So yeah, this is just one of those cool little mysteries that a lot of people don't know is around them. I mean, how many people go through Lordaeron every single day and don't know that they're there? So I just want to show you guys that. I know it's a bit short, but I thought this might be a bit of a short and sweet episode. And now, last but not least, story time. So this week, I've got quite a few little fan-submitted stories about times where people were doing newbie little antics that they look back at now and kind of facepalm a little bit. So our first one comes in from Joseph Gobeller, and he tells us about his Orc Shaman, his first account, back when he only had a starter edition and was in middle school and just didn't have the funds to pay for it. Him and his friend, both Taurans, thought that Kodos were the strongest thing in the game, you know, the single hardest enemy to kill. They were about level 12, 13, and they used to go on Kodo hunts when they would run around Thunder Bluff advertising the Kodo teeth and whatnot they got as loot, acting like the biggest hotshots ever. It was embarrassing, as you can imagine. They were so proud of themselves, though, and they felt like they were badass warriors trekking back from a long journey slaying giant beasts. And to be honest, yeah, I kind of did stuff like that. I remember on my Druid, my first account, I used to rank how good I thought every spell was on how quickly it could kill a Kodo, which worked for a while, but when I got to about level 20, it just sort of lost all meaning because every spell could one-shot it. But whenever I learned a new spell, because I had to go back to Thunderbluff because I was a Druid, and we didn't have Druid trainers in the other towns so far as I can remember back there. So I used to just go down the elevator and start one-shotting things and going, I feel awesome and powerful. So that was fun. But yeah, that sounds quite fun, to be honest. Like, I like that. Next, we get a story in from Keriku. I'm bad at names. Kerik, I think it is. And he tells us about his native hunter, and he apparently did the cardinal sin. He begged for gold in the middle of Stormwind. I think, yeah, I remember us all being there. Thankfully, I actually got quite lucky when it came to my first mount. I got a Black Dragon Whelp or something like that when I was questing in Dark Marsh. What is it? The place with Onyxia. I can't remember the name of it right now. But yeah, I got one of those little pets at level 38, so that paid for my mount quite happily, which was awesome. But no, I'm just begging for gold. I know what he means. And apparently he also had this bad habit when he was younger of sitting in Stormwind complaining how long it would take him to level. Bearing in mind that he probably could have leveled a lot faster had he not been sitting in Stormwind complaining about leveling. So yeah, I think we've all had those silly moments, especially if we start playing when we're a lot younger. Just not quite getting the social etiquette of the game. And our last story for this week comes in from Gundren. And it's a short but sweet one. He says he remembers when he only used to play a starter edition, he used to give himself these stupid little challenges. Apparently he even got the Explore Kalimdor achievement on a level 20 hunter. That doesn't sound newbie to me. That sounds awesome. Like, actually, that sounds like something really fun. Like, I'm kind of tempted to make a little series when I set myself stupid goals on level 1 characters and see what I can do. That might be a fun thing with a few people. If that's something you guys would be interested in watching, let me know in the comments below, because I might make that a thing. That sounds like really good fun, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, thanks for all your stories this week, guys. I want you to keep submitting stories in the comment section below to enter for the time card giveaway, and I want you guys to submit for this week stories about your first all-nighter. Preferably while playing WoW, but you know, if you've got another sort of applicable gaming story about your first all-nighter, please mention it in the comment section below. I look forward to reading them, and I'll tell you about my first all-nighter as well. And that's it for this week. I hope you guys have enjoyed. As you can see, I've actually got a Twitter and Facebook. Hopefully the links to those will work, assuming that future Mike can figure this out. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you didn't enjoy the video, please feel free to dislike the video and tell me why in the comments below. I really, really do appreciate all constructive criticism and all feedback in general. So yeah, have a nice week, guys. Bye.